So hey guys, I'm back. So for those of you who don't know, I am a transracial adoptee. No, that has nothing to do with Rachel Dolezal. Is the actual term that transracial was created for is for adoptees who are of one race adopted into another. Most commonly, as you can probably guess, is people of color adopted into a white family. And that's me. I'm black, obviously. And my family is white. Those of you who have been following me, I've been talking about this on Tumblr since like the beginning of time, and my website talks about it as well. But one thing I want to do is I wanted to make more videos about transracial adoption because I think it's a really important thing to talk about that nobody is ever talking about. So what I wanted to talk about today is based on a blog post that I published on my website, and it's 5 things that I wish that my white parents understood about growing up black. So adoptees in general, whether transracial or not, we already are facing a lot of issues trying to process being adopted, and there's just, there's a lot of things, a lot of trauma, a lot of internal shit that we're dealing with from just being adopted. Now add being transracial on top of that, not only are we trying to figure out this whole adoption thing, but we all just trying to figure out this whole race thing. And the worst part about it is that when you are raised with white families, white people have a whole lot of white privilege and they don't ever have to think about race. So while they're over here in La La Land and their land of race doesn't matter and I never have to think about race, we're over here still trying to be black, still trying to be people of color in America. So normally black people or people of color who are raised within their racial groups, they have elders, they have parents, they have aunties, they have uncles, they have people to walk them through how to survive in America being people of color. When adoptees are raised in white families, we don't get that. So we're basically thrown out in the ocean with no life jacket, with no lifeboat in sight, and we're just like, swim bitch. We don't know what to do. We're out here trying to struggle, just trying to keep our heads above water. We don't know what the fuck is happening because we don't understand race. We don't understand what racism is. We just know all this shit is happening to us and we don't know why. We're freaking out. We don't know what the fuck is going on. And the worst part about it is we can't really talk to our parents because they don't get it. They're white. They've never had to think about racism in their entire life. And I do want to make one point. My family loves me. Like, my family's lit. I don't want anybody to get the idea that like I hate white people or I hate my family. I mean, to be honest, I can't stand most of y'all white people, but my family's lit. But I would also be lying if I was sat here and pretended like there weren't a lot of mistakes made and that we couldn't have done better. So I narrowed these things down to 5 things that I wish that my white parents understood about growing up black. These are things that, looking back as an adult, I think would have made me feel more a part of the family, made me feel more included, more loved. And that's not to say that I never felt like my family hated me or didn't love me, but I do believe that most adoptees kind of go through this phase. It's like, yes, I'm a part of this family and yes, they love me, but something just isn't clicking. Like, I just don't really feel a part of the family, even though I am part of the family. I know they love me and everything. It's just, there's just something that's not very clear. So that being said, let's get into the 5 things that I wish white adopted parents understood about growing up black in America. Number 1, we are not white. Surprise! I'm black. I'm not white. I know this sounds ridiculous to have to say, but you guys would be surprised how many white people really look at their transracially adopted kids as just being white. Like, they don't acknowledge that they are not white people. We are people of color and we're living in this country as people of color. So I need you to wake up. Okay, wake up. Come on. Wake up. Are you awake? Okay. We're not white. You gotta adapt yourself to, you gotta adapt your whole living situation, your whole family, to realize the fact that you are raising somebody who is not white in America, in a place that literally hates anybody who is not white. So, well, your family, who is all used to being white, you're gonna have to adapt because now you have somebody in your family who's not white and it's never going to be white and it's never going to connect with whiteness. Sitting here pretending like we're all big one white family is just contributing to racism and just contributing to making us feel like we don't really belong, because we're over here trying to figure out how to make it as people of color and you're over there like dancing in your whiteness, doing the Cotton Eye Joe. How the fuck that goes, it just creates a separation between us, and it's not. Leads me into the second point, which is colorblindness is not helpful, okay? And if you're not familiar with that, it's the I don't see color. We all bleed red. All lives matter. We're all part of one race, the human race. So here's the thing, this is a really common attitude of white people, especially white adoptive parents, because most people don't think that they're doing this in a malicious manner, and I honestly don't believe most people who are colorblind are trying to be harmful about it, but the issue is that you are. So when you pretend that you're colorblind, first of all, you're not colorblind. You can see what color I am. You can see what color this top is. You know the color of the sky is blue. You know that the grass is green. Unless you're quite literally colorblind, which even if you were, you could still tell the difference between our skin color. Like, don't play stupid with me. Listen, I understand that you think you're doing the right thing by seeing past race, but you're not. Race isn't the problem. It's you pretending like it's the problem. It's you erasing race like it's an issue, like it's a disgusting, dirty word. That is exactly the problem. By pretending like you don't see race, you are literally saying that you don't see racism, which when you are raising a child who is literally dealing with racism every single day is basically a kick in the fucking face, because you're basically telling us that you don't give a shit that we're being called nigger every fucking day, or that we're being followed in stores, or that we're getting spit at when we walk down the road, or that white people are locking their fucking cars every time that we so much as look at them. That is what you're telling us. You're telling us that we don't matter, or that our struggles don't fucking matter. And when you are a parent, when you are supposed to be the person that we can trust, the person that we can go to for protection, how are we supposed to trust you? You literally just told us that we don't matter. That's not being helpful. So being colorblind is not fucking helpful. You see race, and it's 2017. I know you know racism exists, so stop pretending like it doesn't. Don't demonize my brown skin, bitch. My brown skin is fucking delicious. Being different is totally fine. You need to normalize differences in your family and celebrate it. Celebrate the fucking differences. Celebrate the brown skin. Celebrate your white kids. Celebrate your black kids or your Asian kids or whatever fucking transracial adoptee that you got. There's no problem in being different. Even if we all were the same race, we would not be the same people. The way I was raised is not the same as how so-and-so was raised. Michelle Obama was not raised the same way as me. Just because we both black don't mean we the same. Everybody's different, and that's okay. That's the thing. That's the problem with racism, is people act like being different is a problem, and it's not. It's fine. It's okay to be different. Just because you don't understand it or you uncomfortable with it doesn't mean it's bad. Just get over it. We all fucking different. Third thing is to listen and don't dismiss. So I know we've all had that experience where you're like just trying to tell your friend something that happened to you, something that you're upset about, and then they do that, oh, I'm sure it wasn't really like that, or I'm sure they didn't mean it like that. You're just overreacting. Bitch, who asked you? I didn't ask you all that. I asked you to listen to me because something tragic happened to me. Even if it wasn't tragic, even if it was something petty, I didn't ask you for all that. I just want you to listen to me. Sometimes I just need to vent. And this is really important for transracial adoptees, because sometimes we just need to get shit off our chest. We are dealing with a lot of shit that we don't know how to process, and it is not fair for you as our parent to come back and be like, oh, well, they didn't mean it like that. So when I'm trying to tell you about some racism that I faced in school, or how some kid called me a fucking nigger, or how it made me really uncomfortable that I walked into church and literally every fucking white woman was stroking my hair like I was a zoo animal, which, by the way, do you know that black people literally were put in pens and white people watched us like zoo animals? Do you know that happened? That's a real thing that happened right here in America. So when I tell you it makes me uncomfortable, don't come back to me with, oh, well, I'm sure they just didn't mean it that way. I'm sure they just loved your hair. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you right now, it made me uncomfortable. You're not listening to me. You're just dismissing my experiences, and you're telling me that, again, going back to the things that I said before, you're just telling us that we don't matter, that our experiences don't matter. And eventually, when you keep doing that to us, we're just going to stop trusting you. We're going to stop confiding in you. We're going to stop thinking of you as a parent, because parents are supposed to be there to back you up. Parents are supposed to be the ones that are going to drive down to the school and tell everybody they're going to whoop everybody's ass up in here if you don't leave my child alone. But you're not doing that for us. You do that for your white kids, though. God forbid somebody come and push your white kid down the stairs. You gonna be there in a heartbeat, but you ain't gonna listen to us, your brown kids, when we tell you that we uncomfortable or somebody picking on us. And we're gonna make a little mental note, okay, mom and dad don't actually give a fuck about me and my racism that I'm dealing with, so I'm just never gonna talk to them and never gonna trust them. Be like, remember that time the mom and dad didn't give a shit that I was called a nigger, or that somebody tripped me when I was walking down the stairs? Like, I see that. Okay, I see you, mom, dad. I got you. And the other thing is, I understand as white people, you are learning and you may not understand how to handle every situation of racism. I get that. So the least that you can do when your child is sitting here telling you these things, the least that you can fucking do is be like, wow, I am so sorry, sweetheart. Yes, you are so right. That raggedy old white bitch was terrible to you. What? That was fucked up. Sometimes that's all you need to do. Sometimes we just want to vent. It ain't always got to be a big lecture and a big learning moment. Sometimes we just want to vent to somebody. And you're supposed to be a parent. So who better to go talk to about these things than our parents? Number 4, representation matters. I got the American Girl doll, Addie, right? And it was the first black doll that I got. It was the first time that I saw somebody who looked like me. I never had a toy that looked like me. And I was so fucking excited. Even though she was like a fucking runaway slave or some shit, she was like the baddest bitch to me, because it was like, bitch, you look like me and you out here doing amazing things, bitch. You just out here exploring the fucking world and you kicking niggas' asses and you reading and you doing all this shit. Like, it's lit. I don't think white families really understand that they have to now adjust to not just showing white icons and white representation, but they also need to show representation of your transracial adoptee. We didn't really, even television, like, there was not really a whole lot of positive representations of black people, especially black women, especially dark black women that look like me with hair like me. There wasn't that. So when I was looking around and I'm like, were we always either slaves or a fucking janitor? I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do, because like, there's not people who look like me doing anything. And again, because white people don't ever have to think about race, that's not something that enters into your mind. And I understand that, but that's why I'm telling you now, you have to be proactive about providing these things for your child of color. And so if all I'm seeing, if all your child of color is seeing it's a bunch of white people succeeding in this world, and all of their people are either drug addicts or slaves or housemaids, what do you think we're going to aspire to be? Nothing, because that's all you're showing us that we're good for. So you have to take the steps to make sure, be proactive in making sure that you have those representations. Don't just rely on the media. Don't just rely on people to do that for you. Be proactive. Buy books, read the history, talk about these things. There are so many awesome people of color, but we're just not talked about. So you have to make sure that we are taught those things. You can't rely on the school system. You can't rely on media to do that for you. You have to be proactive. Go out and buy those books. Have a fucking story time and just talk about all the awesome people in the world who look like your child. You have to do that. You got to be proactive. Which brings me to the last point I want to talk about, which is your family needs to be multicultural. And what I mean by that is you have to incorporate all the cultures that are in your family into your family. So my family, my mom's side is Danish and my dad's side is Scottish. They are extremely proud of that heritage, and that's fantastic. You know, I'm talking extremely proud. I'm talking like bagpipes at the wedding. So here I am, a black person in this family who's celebrating Danish and Scottish heritage, right? Which is awesome. I love my family, love their heritage. I love that they're so proud of that. However, I can't really connect with that because I'm not Danish or Scottish. I don't look Danish. I don't look Scottish. None of that shit really applies to me because I'm black, right? Even if I thought I was white, even if I viewed myself as white, it's just none of that shit was really creative for me. There's always going to be that disconnect. So while I can respect that and while I can have fun celebrating with them, again, it kind of makes you feel that you're on the outside looking in. You're kind of over here like, yay, bagpipes, woo. Because the problem is while we're celebrating Danish and Scottish culture, we literally never celebrated black culture. We never celebrated Black History Month or like MLK or like Kwanzaa or Juneteenth, or even really talked about blackness or black history or anything like that. And I remind you guys that I'm not the only black person in my family, right? I mean, I was for many years, but I have 2 other black people. Not to mention in my extended family, there are 18 adopted kids and we're not white. So we have people from Ethiopia, from the States, and from Taiwan, and from Haiti. We never once celebrated Taiwanese culture or even talked about it. We never talked about Ethiopian culture. I mean, the Ethiopian kids talked about it amongst themselves, but it was never something that our family celebrated as a family. We never just got together and was like, we're going to celebrate our Danish culture, our Scottish culture, our Ethiopian cultures, our Taiwanese cultures. We never did that. And just imagine being in your family, people who are supposed to love you unconditionally, and everybody's celebrating and laughing and river dancing around the table, celebrating all the whiteness, but literally never talk about the blackness or the Asian people. They just kind of be like, yeah, there's the Negroes over there. We don't really care about your culture or anything. We're just gonna celebrate our whiteness. It's alienating, and it's, again, it creates that distance between adoptees and their families where you're kind of in that weird spot where like, I know that you guys love me unconditionally, but like, do you though? Because we don't really celebrate me and my differences and my people and my culture. And that's a problem because, again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a big multicultural family because that's what you are. Right now, you're a multicultural family. So you need to actually make the family dynamic, multicultural. You understand what I'm saying? So that's it. Those are the 5 things that I wish white parents understood about growing up black or growing up people of color. However it applies to you, fill in those blanks. And to close this out, I don't expect white people to understand or know everything about race or the transracial experience. I don't. I understand that being white, you are learning. The point is you have to be willing to learn. And that's where a lot of adoptive parents go wrong, is they're not willing to learn. They don't want to listen. They don't want to change their ways. They just want to keep on being white while also adopting people of color, and that's the problem. When you adopt transracially, you're not just becoming a parent, you're becoming an ally. You have to learn how to be both. You have to learn how to be a parent, but also be up there on the front line fighting for your kid. You're gonna have to put out some effort. You're gonna have to put in some work. You're gonna have to do your homework. You're gonna have to keep learning, but as long as you're willing to learn, as long as you're willing to listen, I believe that you can do better. It's the parents who feel like they don't need to make any changes or don't want to listen to anybody, that's the big problem. And honestly, I kind of wish you guys would get hit by a bus. But before I say anything else that I regret, thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And that's all, guys. Have a great day. Mwah.